Press.
Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit old to you, but
with that deep into Danny Roll, please don't clip that.
Been truly horrific having this season away from home.
I want goals!
Anyone would think that we rehearse this, and I guarantee that we haven't.
How poor do we have to be before it's happening? How much blood from this stone do we have to get?
For Wednesday Week!
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Wednesday Week. I am not Dan Fudge. Ooh, spooky. Dan is probably still in Pop World. No one's seen him since. So I'm Charlie. So I hope that's okay. And I'm joined by the fabulous Stevie, Ash, and Holly, who has gone for I'm a Goner spooky name. For those of you who are listening, you will not see just how good everybody's outfits is. I have to give the biggest shout out to Stevie. He has made, honestly, so much effort in his Halloween costume. It's unbelievable. It really has to be seen to be believed how good it is. But top efforts from everyone else, you know.
It's come as grumpy podcaster and he's got it down to a T.
No. That's you, mate. That is
To be fair, in the Von Dutch hat, he has come dressed as me in 2001. So,
and I bet that was scary, weren't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We don't want to go there. We don't want to go back to 2001. We don't want to be Holly in 2001.
I would love to be back in 2001. And I sort of was at the weekend.
Yes, you guys had a merry away day, shall we say? How was that?
It was good.
FOMO.
I was being an adult. I was a sensible one this time. So I was there.
I treated Ash to my company on the way home, and I literally slept for 4 hours solid, and woke up and went, "Oh, are we nearly home?"
Yeah, the conversation was riveting. It was great. 4.5 hours in the car. Yeah, thanks, Ollie. Yeah, welcome.
Was it
real
boring,
like, but bloody hell.
Was it proper hangover sleeping as well, where you're just like smushed against like the window, just like just a little bit of drool?
At one point, I did think I really need to like not be asleep, and I need to make some kind of company for Ash. And then I thought, I feel like me being asleep is better company than I could be right now. I had nothing left. So I saved you, really.
Love it. Stevie, how did half term treat you? How has it gone?
I'm still on it.
You're still on it, aren't you? Is it half term
started.
this week for you?
Just started day one. So yeah, I'm over not getting to Portsmouth on Friday because stupidly bought a ticket and didn't check how much the train would be, and figured that I wouldn't be able to get from Doncaster to Portsmouth from 3 o'clock to 7:45, 8 o'clock kickoff. So I bought the ticket. Actually bought 2 tickets because I was going to take somebody with me, and paid for the hotel, and then realised that it just was a non-starter. So I'm £150 out this weekend. But it's all right because I'd have been £250 down at least if I'd have gone.
True, that is true.
At least it won't be like the best away end ever or anything with it.
Oh, for God's sake! Shut up!
I mean, before we get to Portsmouth, we've got the matter of the little midweeker. You know, the appetizer.
The appetizer, the crapatizer.
Crapatizer.
Yes. After
by the way, also couldn't get to that one either because I was working, so I'd seen no live football.
I mean, if I went to the game on Tuesday, and I didn't see much live football either, because it was absolutely diabolical. But we'll get to that. Yes, it was a spirited performance on Saturday that led us into a game with 2 midweek opportunities. Sheffield Wednesday were at home to Swansea on Tuesday in a riveting, freezing cold bobble hat weather game, and then things turned up somewhat more interesting on Friday away to Portsmouth. Ash is going to be my tech quiz this evening. Please, God, please, Jesus. And we'll be popping up your comments. So please do get involved. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you thought of Swansea. We've got to talk about it, guys. We unfortunately have to talk about the Swansea game and find anything to talk about a game that had 0 shots on target from Sheffield Wednesday.
Do you know what? Before this game, when you look at like Swansea's form and the number of goals they haven't scored, and both games really, but I really thought we could have done something.
Yeah, they're in a very similar position to us in a way, in that they're sort of mid-table, not having an amazing season, not having a terrible season. But at the same time, we were also in a position where, had we lost, we could have gone into the relegation zone. And if we'd have won, it would have taken us quite nicely, quite high. So, but I feel like on paper, would you say, Stevie, that really it was a game we should have gone into to get the full 3 points, especially playing at home?
I thought, given our sort of upturning relatively recent form, the Burner game aside, I thought we were on an upward trajectory, and I expected us to go into the game last Tuesday and certainly win. I can't say it would have been a 5-star performance or anything like that, but I thought we were at a point where getting 3 points against Swansea was more than achievable, and something that would have expected. Having said that, it quickly became apparent, didn't it, that it was going to be one of those dull affairs that is nothing to write home about. I did the preview show for their podcast and had their guy on, Hello from the Other Side, and he predicted that they would keep a lot of the ball. They dominate possession but do very little with it, and everything that he sort of said around that kind of came to pass, and it just felt like 2 teams that cancelled each other out, really, didn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the possession thing is absolutely true. I think, we didn't see a lot of the ball, and then when we did, we didn't really know what to do with it. I think it was a good 70-30 possession, I think, certainly by the end of the first half. My Swansea mate had said exactly the same thing. He said, expect us to hog the ball, but don't necessarily expect us to put it in the back of the net. And I thought, well, we'll return the favour by leaving you to it and leaving your net unbothered as well. Ash, do we have the old lineup that we had for Swansea? Do we have that graphic to hand?
Nope, we don't.
Nope, that's fine.
We don't have any graphics this week at all.
Hooray! Good. Well, I'm now going to try and think off the top. It's all right. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who came in on Tuesday that wouldn't have been on Saturday. Did Ugbo start on Tuesday?
No, Jamal Lowe.
No. Jamal Lowe started, Ingles.
Hold the line caller. Hold the line caller.
Hold the line caller.
I think, though, before that game, somebody had said, and this might be, I am not the stats guy. Somebody said something like they hadn't scored or they hadn't even seen a goal in the second half for however many games. So I don't know why anyone would even bother, other than just to upset yourselves, really, like fans do.
I was going into this game looking, and I said this for the QPR and Millwall game as well. If you look at where we want to be or where we think we should be roundabouts, Swansea, Millwall, QPR, those are the sort of teams that we should be looking at getting the maximum points from, home and away. And it was just disappointing that we didn't get the 3 points. and it's the way you play it, and I know how Swansea play and how the guy from the preview show said that they like to retain a lot of possession. Tick, they did. Did they offer anything? No. Which he said that as well. So he's spot on with his analysis, but it's more of the teams you're looking at, Swansea, like I said, and other teams. Bristol City, I know we drew against them as well. It's the points against them that we're dropping. So that's 4 points against the two teams that are perennial mid-table championship teams that we should be really getting. And
it's
that's
almost
an appointment from me. Yes, it was a clean sheet, a point at home, and all that, and it's all good building blocks. But it's like it's the frustration, especially when we didn't even play that well.
I think it's almost like a slower paced sort of trudging team brought that out in us. It's almost like with the West Brom game, for example, we were really like quite feisty, and they gave a bit back as well. And I think it's almost like we bounced off that. Whereas like Swansea took a lot of the heat out of the game by retaining a lot of that possession, and then it made us slow and sloppy. I think it was the passing for me, dreadful passing, and we've seen some really quite dynamic passing in a lot of like previous games. So it was just we couldn't seem to string two passes together. It was really, really sluggish for me. Very boring game.
I agree with you, Ash. I think like if we're not going to beat teams like Swansea, and if any Swansea fans are listening, they're going to hate me saying teams like and then using them. But like if we're not going to beat low scoring teams, we're never going to be, other than that first day of the season, which we won the league on that day, obviously. Other than that first day, we're not going to be a high scoring team. And I think we made this point last season about like Preston. At that point, we're only ever winning 1-0 or drawing 0-0. And we couldn't manage to beat them or whatever. And there's a lot of teams that are a bit middly and have really low scoring games. So it's really frustrating to not be able to outscore a 0 is pretty lame, actually.
And not just to non-score, to get 0 shots on target. Steve, go on.
I get everything that you're saying, but, you know, the reality is we are going to drop points against mid-table teams, and we are going to drop points. We're going to lose against teams down the bottom end of the league this year. And I'm not saying that we should or we shouldn't. Well, I'm actually saying that we shouldn't. But, you know, the reality is it's going to happen. We should have probably gone into the game we expected to win. We probably should have done a little bit more because they were a team that we were capable of winning. To Ash's point, when it comes to Bristol City, I accept that. That's a team we should be targeting to say, right, if we're going to kick on and we're going to move up this league, we are going to need to beat teams like Bristol City. However, you look at Leeds, you look at Burnley, you look at them down the road, you look at all those teams that are up and about it at the moment, they are going to drop points and they're going to have negative performances, abject performances against teams in the middle of the table, because that's the nature of the championship. I wasn't unhappy. I know we're talking about Swansea. I wasn't unhappy with, you know, the 0-0 draw at Bristol City. It wasn't a great performance, but we didn't lose and we got away in midweek. Tuesday night last week, we just cancelled each other out. It was just a dour, boring, dull game of football. I recollect very little about it. I sat and watched it with Molly. I haven't watched back the highlights, not because not out of protest. It was just one of those games that I just thought was really forgettable, and that's going to happen. It'll happen again. It'll happen again at some point this season. We just need to collect the point, take the positive out of the clean sheet. At that point, we were 1 defeat in 5, I think it was.
Yeah, somebody didn't lose.
If somebody looks at it and says you're going to lose 1 out of 5, you're going to take it, given the circumstances of that. But
the only highlight for me was the world-class save by Beadle. I think the fingertip onto the post, and then later on, in the second half, he did come out to a guy, one of their players on the right side, and he made a good save. But I think that's the only thing from me. I think Beadle played really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was critical of him in the chat before. I said the actual cross that came in before the great save, he should have come for. And I still think he should have come. I think he should have been more commanding. But he made up for it with a great fingertip save onto the post. And actually, I think he had a pretty good game, to be honest, really, without being obviously under the cosh, like some keepers do, where they make 5 or 6 great saves. They made 2 really important saves and then didn't do a great lot, which concentration-wise is fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
I think.
Oh, go on. Sorry, Chaz.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I don't know how it looked because I were working in London this week. So I got home just in time to put the telly on. So I watched it on the telly. The standout moment of the game for me that summed it all up is when Ingleson got subbed and his expression, it was just a very big close up in me, like, and I thought, yeah that's all of us, mate.
We saw, I must admit, and I like to be, I like to think that I don't try and single out too many players for negative things. I'm more likely to be obsessively throwing positivity on one person who probably don't even deserve it. But I must admit, Ingleson had an absolute howler. And there was a moment where Johnson had worked a fantastic ball down, passed it to him, and he just fumbled it completely. And at that moment, we saw Roll just turn around, point to an iPad, and then next thing he were getting subbed. It was like, that was your final straw, Savante. Get off the pitch. You've been absolutely diabolical. And I think you could see it, and couldn't you? You could see it in his body language. It was, and he was not by any means the only one. Nobody, I mean, dare I say it, Shea Charles did not have a particularly good game. It was not a game that necessarily showed off a lot of sparkling performances. What did we think about Firmino and Bernard at the back, though, Stevie? I thought both of them were pretty solid in a game that really very little happened. Still continued to be 2 shining examples there.
Yeah, totally agree. I've spoken on several occasions recently about Firmino. I think Firmino will, in due course, be the sort of the dark horse isn't the right term. He's kind of the person that I didn't expect to do as well as he has done this season. And I've said that, the formation that we're playing at the moment plays to his strengths. That 3 at the back works with him to the left-hand side of Bernard. Bernard, what can you say about him? He's fantastic. I'm not going to say he's too good for us, but he's the kind of player that we should be aspiring to have in our starting 11. That level of talent, in terms of the back line. With, you can wax lyrical about your Iorpas, your Hecways, with even. But at the end of the day, we're talking about having a player here who is an asset, who's a saleable asset, and if we are going to aspire to start climbing the table, that's the benchmark, isn't it? And he's the standard. And I think for every game at the moment that he plays, he's setting that standard. He was excellent. He weren't an excellent game, was it? He did very well.
He's a shining star in another eyes, fairly crap game.
Yeah.
Now, Ash, I have to ask, the penalty shout, which I feel like is something that we could talk about in any of our games, and certainly, it's become perhaps beyond a joke now anyway, but I do think that we're going to be more sensitive to any potential misses of penalties that we should have got. What do you reckon? Was it a pen for you?
No, nowhere near. Nowhere near for a pen for me. No, I think it was. I think, are we getting to that point where anything and everything is a penalty?
Absolutely.
I think we are.
1 mil. I was about to say, that's my catchphrase. That's a pen.
Yeah, and everyone's going to shout for it, especially at the cop end.
Yeah.
Especially with you two.
Absolutely.
Sat there. No, I don't think so. I think it was wishful thinking. And then he just scuffed. Well, he's not scuffed it, put his shot wide, didn't he? But no, not for me. Unfortunately, I think we're going to wait another couple of days for the chance of getting a penalty.
Yes, I think it was where we were stood. It was very much one of those kind of, ref, I can't believe it. And I've seen it since, and I've kind of gone, well, probably not a pen. So I think we're going to have to find our magical mystery pen from somewhere else. Holly, we saw a certain silver-haired fox grace the pitch towards the end of the game. He was only on for 5-6 minutes, but what are your thoughts? Patterson coming back on as something of an impact sub in a game that had zero impact on the season, on our lives, on the concept of football in general. What do you reckon? Was it nice to see him back?
I mean, I love him, obviously, except that there's rumour that he's been on the Just for Men and he's not a silver fox anymore, and I just can't get on board with that at all. He needs to
say it isn't so. That's his trademark. That and his fishing rod are his trademarks, and his Sheffield Wednesday glasses. Like that's terrible.
That's
It's breaking my heart.
He's an icon, so he needs to. Yeah, I'm always happy to see him. I know a lot of people prefer not to, but when you just said that you thought Swansea absolutely bored the life out of us, one man who's not going to bore the life out of you.
That is true.
Add a little bit of something. I'm always on board with it. To be fair,
that's it.
It did offer a lot more in the 6 minutes he was on than quite a lot, and I think it was just for everyone's. Same with the penalty. Everyone wishing, well, not everyone. Obviously, there's going to be Pato haters, but we don't talk about them. He lumped the ball up, and he did go up for a couple of headers, and he showed a bit of that Pato, you can call it magic, that he's got.
To be fair, do you think a bit of it is because he's got a song and the fans quite like him? It's actually nothing to do with his impact, but it lifts the crowd a little bit just to, like, if they brought Nuyu on, like, we'd all imagine if they just went, and here he comes now, and everybody went,
Big Dave.
Everyone would love it.
He is. I think he's a talisman, isn't he? There's a guy behind us, an old bloke, and he's never happy no matter what's happening, and he's got chronic benchitis. So he looks at the bench, and whoever's on the bench, he shouts their name till he brings him on, or shouts somebody's name till he, and all they were like, "Get bloody Pato on, get bloody Patterson on." As soon as Patterson came on, he were like, "Oh well, Patterson's here. You've been asking for this all frigging match, and now that he's made the change, it's who's brought this useless lump on?" But I agree. I thought he was, at least he tries. God, at least he moved slightly faster than Treacle. Like it was such a dull match otherwise. Probably not the most exciting one for him to be in, but wouldn't it have been a great story if he just came in right at the end, got his giant head on when right at the end it was a bit of a head tennis sort of situation. It was that, like, if at any point this we were going to snatch a goal, it was going to be then. But unfortunately, it was not to be.
Do you think in a game like that, people like Pato are sat on bench thinking, I can't believe you haven't brought me on in this game. Like, everyone's playing this, like, this is so naff, and you won't even bring me on? Or do you think he's just like, nah, it's cold and this is shit, I'm not going on? I think it's like when Danny looks round and he's like, no, I'm not here, no.
All wrapped up in his big coat, like pretending to be a chair, just like really still, like maybe if I don't move, he'll not. Like when you're in class and you don't want teacher to pick on you, so you're just like pretending to be a desk with a lot of pencils on you, just like, well, me, no, I'm not. I'm just a chair. I think he always looks really up for it, but he always looks like it's just like fun, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's one of them kind of people. I think he takes life like that. Like he's like, oh great, get my boots on, go and kick the ball around with my friends. Like I think it's just a nice energy I think he's got. I'm a big fan of him. But it would have been a really nice ending for if anyone was gonna get that last minute goal. I think it would have been great for it to be him. Ash, what's the internet saying about the old Swansea mega?
Yeah. Sharman, Pato needs more time than that, and he's perfect for games like Swansea where you need some niggle and shithousery.
Shithousery. Love it. Love it. Agreed. Well, I believe we have wrung the dry sponge of the Swansea game as much as we can. Unless anyone has any final thoughts, I would love to move over to what was, after 45 minutes, a genuinely interesting game. So, Ash and Holly, you made the intrepid journey down to Portsmouth on Friday. How long did it take you in the end to actually get down?
How long did it take? Oh, you wouldn't know, Holly, would you? You were asleep on the way down as well. You sleep there. It took us about 5 hours, I think it was.
Woof. That is dedication. So, 5 changes going into the game. Happy with the changes? Ingleson dropped, I believe. Yep. God, I should have this. I'm so used to the graphics.
Just turn up and
do you want me to read the team? Do you want me to read the team?
Will you read the team for us, Stevie, so then we can dissect it? That's what we need.
Beadle in goal, back three of Palmer, Bernard Firmino, Valentin right wing back, Max Lowe came in at left wing back, Shea and Baz in the middle. And then we brought back in Windass and Masaba behind Michael Smith.
Yeah.
So Valerie dropped out. Windass and Masaba came in for Gassama and Ingleson. Lowe came in for Marva, I believe, and Ugbo. Sorry, Lowe. Forgive me. Lowe dropped out for Smudge up top.
For Smudger. Holly, what were your thoughts when you saw that? Quite a lot of changes, perhaps for two. For a game that you've gone where you think sort of midweek, and then a game where really, arguably, even though you are going away, they're bottom and they're struggling. Do you think it was a decent lineup going ahead?
I'm just going to put it out there. A lot of Friday is very blurry because whilst it did take us 5 hours to get there, we did still get there quite early. And there was a lot of shots that not all of them were my fault. So
how many as a percentage? How many of the shots on Friday were your fault? Percentage.
A Swansea possession type.
70-30. Yeah. That's fair.
But having found out now that we made 5 changes, yes, I am surprised.
No.
Well, that sounds amazing. What an interesting development. I wish I was there.
I have to just very quickly interject this. So I've sent a message saying there's no way, even though I've got all the stuff, there's no way I'm getting to Portsmouth. I've got a meeting after work. I think it was 3:15. I've sent in the group chat a picture of where I was in this meeting going, I'm gutted I'm not going to be there. Have a good one. And then Holly's private messaged me and gone, are you sure you can't make it?
I think you should have put some effort in, Steve.
I was in Doncaster at 3:30. She's like, come on, you'll get there.
Come on.
Jog on. Come on. Just come on. Break a sweat. Ash, can we have a slightly more sober evaluation? So how are you feeling? Like, obviously Tuesday was dull, but ultimately we didn't lose. We kept a clean sheet and everything, but with 0 shots on target, you're starting to ask yourselves, where are these goals going to come from? How are you feeling? Confident going into it?
Yeah, you look at obviously Portsmouth, and I said it before about the other teams. You look at the teams you're going to be beating. Portsmouth, bottom of the league, in some pretty poor form. I think they've only won. They hadn't won at home. Apologies, all season. So I think I've come round to the thought of that we've got quite a good squad. So I think anyone that it brings in, there's always going to be couple of questions, but I'm happy enough with it. So obviously it's Swansea, Ingleson, for as much as he played really well at Plymouth and Coventry, he had a shocker, so that was no thing, but happy for Windass to come in. And then on the other side, Gassama no one had a good game against Swansea, so Masaba to come in, I'm happy with. Up front, yes, I know Ugbo's not scoring. Lowe's a bit out of form as well. For Smith to come in, why not? And I just put a message up there from, Juanito Ingles. Hard to assess that team with hindsight. It's a super honest person who says, now, if that was your opinion, Danny should never have picked Smith. He's not up for it. Which I did see quite a lot on Twitter.
Yeah, not from me.
People
He's
saying
number one fan,
that
from
Smith wasn't up for it, shouldn't
others.
pick him. But for me, he should have started. And look at that, and I was happy with it. There wasn't anything that you're looking at going, oh my God, I can't believe he's playing, because there's 18 or 19 players there that are all worthy of starting, I think, now. And there's not many times you could say that in the past.
Do you think Danny's still in a situation where he's working out his absolute dream starting 11? Even now, I know we're still relatively, very early in the season, but I don't think we've. I mean, I'm happy to be wrong, but I don't think we've had the same lineup twice, like 2 games in a row. Certainly not the exact same lineup.
I don't think he's like that. I don't think he'll play. I think he'll pick a team for the team that he's facing first. I don't think he'll go, this is my set 11 or 10, with Beadle obviously probably being number 1. I don't think we'll see that.
I think managers now prefer players to be able to play more than one position, don't they? And maybe that
True,
might be
true.
what they were trying to do with Ingleson, and then they went, well, scratch that one off. That's
Yeah.
definitely not it. But like,
Whoopsie.
obviously, we've seen with Stevie's bestie, Liam Palmer, he can do a few different bits. And I
Mr.
think,
Versatile.
yeah, I think they want them all to be versatile, because also, instead of having the formation, they have formations for different phases of play anyway, so they all have to rotate what they're doing. So I don't think the lineup will ever be like, that's the lineup, and if he's injured, you come in. It's always just the squad, and you'll find out on day who's, or maybe a few days later, if you're me, you'll find out who's
Oh, looking on Twitter. Did we play a game on Friday? That's crazy. That explains this ticket in my pocket. That's nuts. I suppose it's good for players as well from a confidence perspective as well. Like if you're sometimes players get a bit out of favour, don't they? And suddenly they're going 4, 5, 6 games without actually starting. And you want to keep things fresh, and you want to keep people playing. So yeah,
it must
I think
help
that's
in
really
training
fair.
as well. If the place is up for grabs for everybody,
Yeah.
and everybody's going for it in training instead of the first team and then the other guys, at least
Totally.
everybody knows that they can try and do something.
Definitely.
I don't think, just to sort of coming on those points there, I don't think the intention for us was ever to play 3 at the back. I think we've had a pre-season where we set up, and we've had a good pre-season by our standards. But through pre-season, largely we played a 4. We set up against Plymouth, played a 4. We set up against Hull, played a 4. We went to Sunderland, played a 4, and then we dipped, and then we dipped again. And then after the Millwall game, it kind of became a thing where it was like, right, we've got some problems here playing this 4 at the back. And I do think that Danny would want to play 4, all right, Hull.
She can't hear this. She can't hear this, Steve. It's too much.
I can't take it.
You're naming players and it's bringing back alcohol memories. Just stop talking about football. Just give us some time.
I don't think the intention was to play a 4, and I think to Rawls' credit, it's testament to him that he's gone, right, I'm not going to change my philosophy in terms of the way that we set up. In terms of the way that we play football, we're still going to play out from the back. I'm still going to get players in defence that are going to be comfortable on the ball. I want that insurance policy in front of that back line that's going to allow my attacking players to go and play. We've just modified it a little bit. I don't see us playing a 4 again at any time soon, he says, knowing that Saturday we're going to play a 4 because Maywell's injured now. But
True.
I think, and I do think the form of Akin for Maywell's played a large part of that. Him sat on the 3 on the left hand side of a 3. And Bernard in the middle it's been a revelation. Let's be right. It's not anything that we'd expected. And I think we're probably going to stick to that. Who comes in and plays in terms of instead of for Maywell, I don't know, because he's out for a while, isn't he? And I think the way that we've set up in this formation now with Shea and Baz in front, and then any iteration of what we've got in front, seems to when we're firing, it's working, isn't it? But definitely. Danny doesn't seem to know whether it's Windass or Gassama, whether it's Masaba or Ingleson, whether it's Smith or Ugbo, and that tells me, and I could very well be wrong. The wing backs, the front 3 are all very much interchangeable at the minute, so I don't think necessarily we've got a starting 11. Or he's got a starting 11 in his mind that kind of goes, this is the one for me. And I think it's all very much up for grabs at the moment. So if you go back 5 minutes and we're talking about the starting 11, whatever he picks is, to Ash's point, we've got a competitive squad now that, if not Ugbo, who we paid 2.5 million for, by the way, we'll bring Smith in and that'll be all right, or we'll play low and that'll be all right, or whatever it may look like. We are where we are.
I think we don't realise as fans as well how long it takes to develop a certain style, and like us, if Danny wanted to play 4 at the back, but we haven't done that for quite a while, just having a little bit like a pre-season is not really long enough for him to actually do it. We saw that last season with him coming in and wanting us to play out from the back. How many games did everybody in the stadium go, this isn't going to work, just go back
too
to
soon?
Yeah, we stuck with it, and this season it sort of is working because it takes that long, and we just want him to go, right, you've decided on it now, so it better work. But it takes a really, really long time for them to actually trust each other and trust that they're going to be like, it's not a case of, yeah, all right, they're all professional footballers and they sort of know, but it's that understanding of where you're going to be without having to think about it. And I think when we've been doing certain stuff, like against Leeds were a perfect example of their squad didn't have to think about what they were doing because they knew where everybody was, didn't they? Yeah. And whereas our players were going, right, okay. That comes with time. Those Leeds players, some of those Leeds players, that Nonto's been there a while. Quite a lot of them have been there a while. And they're also obviously ever so slightly better than our players. But like, it takes a really long time to get that kind of, you don't have to think about it, understanding, I think. So
I think you're right. And I think that's where the head loss can come from a little bit, can't it? Like, Ash, we'd look at the first half of this game. What were your thoughts? Because, I mean, for those of us sat watching at home, not going to lie, it was another worrying 45 for me. I'd just watched, 90 minutes of nothing, and I was starting to think I was going to be strapped in for another 90 minutes of nothing.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was very frustrating, and I think it was about 25th minute. I think Famewa went off, and I agree with what Stevie said. I think he's been a standout player this season, much improved, and yeah, I do. I think he's been consistent.
Us two agreeing.
I know.
Oh my goodness!
I know. No,
only on Halloween.
I think it's only right though. I think he has been the most improved this season and consistent this season in the position, and I think from last season early on where we were playing left back, and the season before he's not a left back and he's not a left centre back either. I think the 3 is his position, the left of the 3, and it is, and it looks like that partnership with Bernard is really looking good, and it's a shame that he's going to be out for quite a while. Actually, I think he is now, so he's going to be missing, and yeah, it's. Iofa came on. I mean, he's been out a while himself, and he did well again. But it was just a frustrating first half. We didn't really offer much. I don't think we even really tested the keeper that well. And it got to get towards the the end of the half, and originally the clearance off the line by Paul Valentin.
How did he manage to? Because it's not just like he scoops it around. How does he get? Then he just like walks off like
it would know.
So
you could see the reaction from Beadle there as well, couldn't you? Because Beadle, there was like in slow motion, he'd gone the other way, and it was almost like that. Oh God, I can see what's going to happen now. Yeah. Forlorn expression, and then like an eel, Valentin just somehow manages to like wrap himself around, and Beadle just about snogs his face off, I think.
I don't know, I just want somebody to embrace me in that same way. But even their player like watches it in slow motion, like, yep.
What? Yeah, what was that? Was that you? You just said you want someone to embrace you like Beadle embraces Valentin.
That's true.
Yeah, did you not see it? Oh,
I saw it. I just didn't think that.
Oh well.
We see the joy. We see the joy in these things. But unfortunately, shortly after that beautiful moment, unfortunately, they did score. Sloppy goal to concede, Stevie, or?
It feels like every goal that we concede at the moment is sloppy, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Set piece coach earning his money.
Yeah, we concede a lot of goals that feel unnecessary. And I know that sounds flippant and a daft thing to say, but everything's just so avoidable at the moment. And this Ogilvy guy, honestly, I can remember I'll go back to the game we needed to win to get into the playoffs in League One, when Hurst scored for Portsmouth. Oh. And we went 1-0 up they went 1-0 up at Hillsborough. And then this Ogilvy, I mean this with the greatest respect to a professional footballer, he doesn't look like a footballer. He doesn't carry himself like a footballer. And every time we played Portsmouth since, I've looked at him and there's been standout moments. He gets booked, he concedes penalties, he's not right. And for him to be the one that scored the goal, I just thought, oh, shit. This is
It reminds me of that Rooney from Fleetwood. He's not there anymore, but you know that sort of player.
Yeah. he's always the wrong player in the right place at the wrong time, if that makes any sort of sense. But he's just no, and it just after Tuesday, it just felt like, and the goals were conceded against Burnley as well. It just felt like one of those where it was like, shit, here we go again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there was I think there was some records about us not. It's been a while since we've come from behind to go on and win the game. Before that, it'd been a while, and then we've gone and done it twice in the space of 2 away games, sort of thing. So
I'm much happier about that than us conceding 1 goal and then another 3 immediately. Like I'm on board with this.
I hate that. Controversial, I know, but I hate it when we concede 4 goals. I really don't like it. I think
got
we
really good at it, but I don't.
Yeah, we're amazing at conceding 4 goals, but I wish we wouldn't. So, Holly, if you can cast your mind back, or at least I'm hoping you've watched it again 1 or 2 times, along comes Josh Windass in the second half, and really, you've got to argue that it was a nice little goal, having maybe just been spurred on by 1 or 2 naysayers. I'll not name any names, who maybe not long before that were saying Mr. Josh Windass was maybe not pulling his weight.
It's interesting you asked Holly that. Holly, how was it where you were stood, the goal, Windass's goal?
Guys, I missed it.
Oh.
I didn't even know we'd kicked off again. I would just.
Were you in the stadium?
Yeah, we stood at the bar.
It wasn't just me. Ash was there. Fudge was there.
Well, dig us all in. Go on.
That's it. Everybody. We were just drinking his drinks, moaning about how shit they all were.
Windass in particular. Josh. Well, Stevie, what's your recollection of the goal? To have seen it live-ish from a screen, liver than the 2 people that than the people that actually went to the game. You alone witnessed it. What were your thoughts? Lovely bit of build-up, wasn't it?
Yeah, steady. I've got a thing about Windass in that I'll say this, and controversially, I feel like he's never actually this season, and as I said, it's a controversial take, he's not actually recovered from the Sunderland game, and I think he's carried the weight of those 3 goals that he conceded, or he was culpable for against Sunderland. It's almost like he's kind of gone, I've got to try and get out of this. And he's the kind of player who, he's much maligned in terms of his body language and the way that he carries himself and so forth. I was pleased for him that he got it, and the setup, the way that we played, it was the kind of football that we start the first half with rather than the second. Although we did do that on the Saturday previous against Burnley, and it almost came off, but didn't quite. So no, it was a well worked goal, right place, right time, and it was exactly what he needed. He wasn't over elaborate in terms of the finish or anything like that. It wasn't overly intricate. It was just I'm going to get a big surface on it. I'm going to hit the back of the net, and we're away. And fair play to him. And I'd like to think that's now going to be something that Windass goes on and builds with.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right. He's a player. He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? You know when things are good, and you know when things are off. I thought his celebration, like he came right up and like slapped the badge really hard, and he looked really like it really meant something. And I think it was, and it certainly seemed to give a lift to the game. It was very much a game of 2 halves, and it was made for far more interesting watching.
And it's to that point, isn't it? You can say what you want about Windass and all of that we've just discussed, but at the end of the day, you go back and look at, we're talking percentages as we have been, if you look at 80-90% of his goals, he's a big time player that scores goals at key moments. Blackburn last season, Wembley, he's the man that you'd call upon. I'd be more reliant or expectant of Windass in those clutch situations than somebody like Masaba or Kasama, dare I say it. So for me, it's for those reasons, he's an important player for us, and I'd like to think now, as we've just said, based on last Friday night, he's and everything that's happened personally for him, he's got married, he's become a dad.
Yes.
Yeah, all of that. Let's hope now that he gets a little bit of stability and he kicks on, and he can build on that now as being the player that we want him to be.
Yeah, agreed.
Just before going, Charlie, we've had a comment from John. I mean, I want a young lady on the left looks the part of Halloween.
Love it.
Now, I don't know if it means top left or bottom left, but I'm a gent, John.
But you both look the part. You both look fabulous. So the energy was up. The football was looking a hell of a lot better. And I think I would imagine that the atmosphere had changed considerably in the away end for those that were able to remain standing. And then a certain Mr. Michael Smith maybe had a chance to redeem himself from his opportunity in the first half, and indeed his spoon shot against on Saturday. What do you reckon? Not a bad little goal, was it? Not a bad little goal. Holly, were you even conscious at this point? I want to keep asking you questions, and I'm concerned that you basically weren't there.
I feel like I played a part in this goal because I drew it towards the goal.
Inhaling the ball like those shots.
That's it. I feel like, firstly, let's just point out top marks to, I'm really sorry about this, Stevie, but top marks to Portsmouth because they've changed the away end since we last went, and it was absolutely brilliant. You'll never see one like that ever again. No, but they've changed it to safe standing, and it were brilliant, and the stewards were brilliant as well, which then made for the celebration to that goal. I felt it went on for absolutely ages, and I feel like I must have just hugged about 50 people in a row and just screamed in their ear. It was I think also, just to calm myself down, because I've got a bit hyped just thinking about it, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like people associate Smith because of his physique with being a bit of a lump that we oik the ball up top to, and then he does whatever he does. But that is not like a lump's goal.
No.
That was totally not a Smith goal. I mean, it was great again to see it start from the back again, which a lot of people have said and commented that the people in the stands or near him saying, get it a lot lumped up front, get it forward and all that. And it was good to see that we'd scored the equaliser and then it was all Sheffield Wednesday. Yes, we didn't pepper the goal. We had their keeper didn't make 5-6 worldies and all that sort of thing. But you could feel after that equaliser that there was something. We'd got the momentum. You got people passing. The passing was up. It was really direct. It was crisp. Do you know what I mean? And you could just see it and feel it. And then to start from the back, from a Beadle, play it, and then for Smith himself to lay it off to Windass, end up on his backside, and then get up. I don't think he's really got a sprint in him, but to run towards the goal and then Valerie to pull it back to him, and then just for him to hit the sweetest shit pinger of a strike. It was phenomenal.
That view from behind it where you see it curl
unbelievable.
Round, keeper has absolutely no chance. But also for the cutback, like most people I think would have run and crossed it, just a normal cross, but to cut back, the awareness for that. And I guess the trust in Smith from shooting from there, which I guess none of us thought was going to happen.
And how often have you seen it where you really want a goal, you chase another goal, and the adrenaline gets, and they spoon it, they panic, and it's like, they blast it over. And I think because he'd had that chance early where he'd not got it on his favourable foot, he'd gone to his left, he'd gone to shift to his right, it's not enough time. It was like the way that it just perfectly landed. There must have been this split second where he was just like, this is it. Like the stars have aligned in this moment.
He 100% knew. As soon as he's hit that ball, he 100%. And I'll tell you now. I'll tell you now. He will do that 250 times and not do that again.
I think he said himself, didn't he? They said to him afterwards, is that probably one of the best you've hit? And he was like, he probably doesn't score.
It's the best goal he'll ever score. the best goal ever scored. And, you know, people wax lyrical about the bend on the Roberto Carlos Le Tournoir in 95, I think it was, where he bent it and it's gone outside the goal. You know, this guy has hit the ball, and the technique is just like I said, it's 1 in a million. The ball, and it weren't a great pass from Valerie. The ball's bounced 2-3 times before it's come across. He's not laid it across so it's just smooth on the ground. He's not volleyed it across. The ball has bobbled across the Smith, and you know, the only way he's hit it in the only way that he could hit it for it to go in the way that it's gone. And I know that sounds daft.
No, absolutely. It was
an incredible moment of football where this guy, who you just said, Charlie, 6 days before, has volleyed one over in the 94th minute to an open goal. And we can argue the merits as to whether or not that was an easy chance or he should have done better.
But he's going to have with him,
Ironically, he's ended up hitting the ball on Friday night in the way that he should have hit the ball on Saturday, or with the area of his foot that he should have hit the ball on Saturday. Instead of putting his laces through it, just guide the ball into the back of an empty net. It's almost worked the other way around, hasn't it? Where he's hit the ball with his instep from 25, 30 yards out when he should have been getting his laces through it and smashing it. He's just guided it in, and the technique and the way that he's done it, it's bent round and out and then come back in. It's gone through 5 players. This guy, honestly, that goal was absolutely incredible.
It weren't even the ball from Valerie. It weren't at massive pace or anything either, was it? You know, like you use the ball coming into you. Not that I've ever played football, obviously, but use the ball in, and the way he hit it, and keeper, like you say, you see the slow motion dive from the keeper, and look, it wasn't in the right top corner, but it was that true hit.
Bend on it.
Well,
the curve on it.
You don't keep them out.
Honestly,
stick that goal. Yeah, John Duncan, stick that goal in the Louvre. Truly a work of art. It is, and every angle is like, again, like watching it on stream, you were like, God, what a bloody great goal. But then they showed that angle from the back, and you're just like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to just watch this 750 more times and show it to everybody I know and love, because it was just absolutely goal of the season so far.
I actually
probably goal of the season all season.
Group chat that I'm in, I just sent it to everybody.
Have a look at this. You don't even need to know football. Look at it.
2 days previous, I think it was 2 days before, it might have been the Tuesday, people are ranting and raving about Haaland with his flick.
Ugh.
And I just think to myself, if Haaland had done that,
you'd never hear the end of it. It would be on Match of the Day previews. It'd be here, there, and everywhere. They'd be, absolutely.
Haaland wishes he were Michael Smith.
He wishes he wears Michael Smith pajamas.
That's one of them where all the crowd goes shoot, and then when they scuff it, they go, you should have
you idiot.
From the, but didn't Bannon say that he told him not to shoot?
So. Yeah, he did. He was like, don't shoot, don't panic. But
Bannon
it was
knows.
a lovely celebration for that at the back. Yeah, lovely. Because Bannon's guilty of it, isn't he? I think Bannon's guilty of that at times where he's, when he hits that a perler of a, perfectly like techers, the numbers are coming down, the angles, the trajectory, it's beautiful. But also you have to then account for the millions that have just gone over and skied over and just, it wasn't quite as it didn't land perfectly for me. But absolutely delighted for Michael Smith as well. I think, there was not that long ago and it was sort of, is he going to go? Is he going to go somewhere else? Has his time with us come to an end? Will he get more game time elsewhere? I think he's fought his way back into the squad, Ash. Would you agree?
He's got to be into, after that. The knockdown for Windas's goal and then hitting one from 25, 30 yards. He's gonna have the confidence. And with the other strikers, not necessarily playing bad, but just obviously not hitting the back of the net yet, he's going to be the one that's in form at the minute. So I think it was thing. And last thing on that for me is that I have to say that away end is probably one of the best away ends I've been in as well.
Oh my God!
I'm not saying it. No, I'm going to give props to. Whoa! I'm going to give props to the Wednesday fans. I don't care about you, Stevie. Your fault you missed it, mate.
The people who actually watch Stevie.
What have I told you week in, week out, Stevie? Get a new job.
Forget about the kids.
Dedicate your life to football.
Yeah. The kids can teach themselves. Get a job you can finish it early on. But no, it was great, and the poor stewards that were stood near us, they got full barrels and everything, and it was all great.
They had no choice
when you get
to
a
join
goal like that. Yeah,
Love it. Love it.
Fans were fantastic as always.
So, slight sort of downside is the injury to Firmino, which obviously Rule has described as a big concern, and also Kabatsky is also injured. I don't really know much on that. I don't know if we've been given sort of time scales or any kind of thought there, but I would have thought, with absolutely no offense to Kabatsky, but certainly I would have thought, given how he's played for Mayo, that's a much bigger concern for us. Stevie, who comes in? Do you think? Who covers the space left behind while Firmino is out?
That's a great question, by the way. Iorfa came on for him. Iorfa's right-hand sided. Palmer would play right-hand side, and the go-to tends to be a Heckway, doesn't it? If we're going to play, I'm interested to see. Having said everything that we've said about the three at the back and everything, is a Heckway injured as well?
Yep.
I wasn't aware of that.
We'd gone like a full day without an injury, and here they are.
Yeah.
Like buses, they are.
Tom Howson tweeted out, didn't it? Other week, and then people had him on Saturday.
Good old dude. Good old dude.
Yeah, he's been out for a couple of weeks in Heckway.
Well, if that's the case, then we've got one or two options. He's either going to play Palmer left-hand side of a three, or he will play a flat back four. Yeah. In my opinion, and I can only see it. My gut instinct says we'll stick with the three and probably play Palmer on the left. Having said that, he may very well go Bernard on the left and put Iorfa in the middle.
Iorfa in the middle.
And think Bernard is probably the more versatile of the three. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what I think about that, because I think Bernard has been as good as he's been playing in the middle. He seems to be marshalling things at the back, but it's horses for courses, isn't it? For Maywell will be a miss. I think it's a reasonable opposition on Saturday to have a look at changing it up a little bit in terms of how we set up now and what we do. I don't think I'm going to miss Kabatsky necessarily.
Certainly not as much, just based on his recent form, which I think that's completely fair. Holly, are you expecting a fair amount of changes for tomorrow's game? Do you think he's gonna go solid, gonna go all out, or do you think we're gonna see quite a lot of mixing around and maybe go for a more conservative approach?
I think that he will probably worry about the defense, and just because, like,
as do we all.
He has been in such good form. He's probably been the best over that period of time out of, like, because people have had up and down games and he sort of hasn't. So I feel like we're probably gonna try and support whoever is in defense a little bit more than going for it. But then again, I really want us to be in good form. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that, but I don't. Just please, can we just have some good form in the next few games?
Some good form. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Tough couple of games coming up, though, isn't there?
There is.
Tough three games: Norwich, Watford, and the other lot.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to mention yet. But yeah, I want us to be in good form going into the derby game. I absolutely just don't even want to think about it yet, but it'd be nice to. And I don't know, like, what does the table look like? Oh, go on, Stevie.
I was just going to let me ask you a question then, if I may. When you say good form, what are we talking about? Are we talking about results or are we talking about performances?
Results, Stevie. I want
goals.
She wants goals. Just some goals. She's awake for.
Good, but I just want us to win.
Is that too much to ask? We just win every game and are great all the time. For God's sake.
I think it's a valid question, but I think I'd rather go into a derby winning these next two games, not playing particularly well, and winning rather than saying, "Oh, we were so close against Watford, we got beat
Would- do you
2-0 at home and 2-0 at home." Norwich.
The Owusu goal, the one-touch Owusu against Sheffield United, right? That game, I feel like most of that game I watched from hiding behind my dad because they were just attacking us continuously. And then somehow Kuchi and Owusu scored, and then everything were great. And then all their fans were going, "Yeah, but we battered you," and we were just like.
No one remembers that, do they? No, you're absolutely spot on. It's like Saturday, like even I was saying, like, oh, you know, we played well on Saturday, but we still lost. Really, at the end of the day, you still lost. And I think I agree. There's a lot to be said for scabbing some 1-0 minor victories. They all sort of count the same.
Just from a league point of view, if I may just interject,
Please do.
I think Holly's just said that she's not sure what the league looks like. Just for perspective and balance, we currently sit 11th in the league. Oh,
12th.
Is that right?
12th.
I thought we were 13.
I'm so sorry. We are 12th in the league.
12. Oh, big 12.
Yeah.
We're not. We're 13th in the league.
Oh,
Stevie,
not spooky number 13.
So so what
13.
happened was I was just looking back at the Friday night result. We're 13th in the league. We've got 15 points. We've got Watford coming up on Saturday. They're 7th with 19. They conceded more goals than we have. And
they've conceded more goals than we have.
Watford have conceded more goals than we have.
What?
We've also got Norwich coming up. Norwich sit 1 point behind them on 18. On 18, they're in 8th. So we're only 3-4 points off the next two opponents, and we're talking about our form and our results not being where we want them to be, and we're playing against potential promotion playoff pushing rivals.
No, our form's good. We've only lost 1 in 6. No, I never said
we've only lost 1 in 6, but what I'm saying is we're sitting here now.
Going into the derby, I'm saying. Going into derby.
Okay.
Wins. No, I thought our form's great. I'm well happy.
I think we're kicking off.
I said we'd finish 14th, between 14th and 11th. And we're
I'd bite your hand off for that. Absolutely. And I think, how many games we talked about coming back from 1-0 down, how many games we've seen where we have not done that. We have the first time, it used to be that as soon as a goal goes in, that's it flattened. And like we said, twice in a row, away from home, we have come back from a goal down to win, which I think is massive. Neon Brown, we all want goals, don't we? Absolutely, we do. Speaking of goals coming from elsewhere, I have to just put a little shout out to Cadamartri. Is having an absolutely storming time for the Imps. He's absolutely smashing them in. It's a good loan, isn't it, Stevie? It's going very well for him. Everything we could have hoped for, really, for him. First game time and getting the goals he needs.
Yeah, definitely. It was nice to see his dad posted, the whole this is a developmental move for you. Go get some minutes, get some experience, go play at League One, and then come back to Championship level and smash it with Sheffield Wednesday. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, definitely.
From Danny Cadamartri. It's nice to see. It's mental, isn't it? Because we're such a loyal bunch. We still bang on about Lee Gregory, and everybody's tagging Lee Gregory and everything, blah blah blah, about the goals he's scored for Mansfield. As much as I like Lee Gregory, and as wonderful as a bloke as he is, he's not ours anymore. Whereas Bailey Cadamartri is a Sheffield Wednesday player. He's doing bits, and I'd like to think that he's going to go away. I'm not one of those where people have been talking about getting him recalled in January. Give him the season.
Absolutely.
Go do what it is that you're doing. Go get the experience. Go and get your licks. Go get your kicks. Go score some goals. Go take Lincoln as far as you possibly can, and then come back to us for pre-season 25-26, won't it?
Absolutely.
And see where we are.
I haven't seen any of his other goals that he scored, but did you actually see the goal? Because it's completely unmarked, but also there's nobody within like a 5-mile radius of him, and it's just a right gentle header inside the box into the goal. Like the easiest. It's like somebody just goes, "Here, head this over there," and he's like, "All right." It's like the easiest goal he'll ever score in his entire life. He's getting no development from goals like that, but I'm sure.
Listen. I've seen you say that. I've seen Wednesday players miss opportunities like that on several occasions this season. So
that's it.
Okay, so let's.
Ash, any other business from you as we start to gently wrap things up? I've missed?
I've got one little bit. Got contacted by a Wednesday fan earlier this week, James Michalowski. Easy for you guys to say. Yeah, so he's doing a charity walk over 2 days. He's walking from Hillsborough to Pride Park, Derby County's ground, all in aid for Sheffield Children's Hospital. So if you see this tweeted out, the Just Giving link, please have a read and just donate a couple of pence if you can to it. It's doing great stuff for anyone raising money for charity, especially children's charities. Always gets our love. So yes,
Absolutely.
Massive shout out to James and well done. And we'll look forward to that on the 29th and 30th, I think it is, just before they play them on the 1st. I think it is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant effort. And speaking of charity, Pact, we are still collecting your fantastically generous donations for Pact. Thank you so much to everybody who has given. We are gently just trying to drown Ash in toothbrushes, so do keep that up. Ash, when and where are we next collecting? Just as a quick reminder for everybody.
Yes, the donation station is still in the mega store, so it's there until the Norwich game midweek. Excuse me, midweek Norwich next week. So yeah, I've got 2 more games. If you just bring down a roll of deodorant, a tube of toothpaste, whatever, anything so small is better than nothing. And in fact, hang on, look at this. Hey, look at this. Just I haven't got this planned or anything, but look, we've got a little basket here with all the little bits and pieces in. Look at that.
Oh, it's like QVC.
Modelled beautifully there by the man in the tiny hat. All
that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're down at Hillsborough, it's there as well. It's not just match days. If you go down to collect your tickets for either Brentford maybe tomorrow or any games, you can just pop in and drop some stuff off there. Yeah, brilliant. As always, the Wednesday fans have really helped again. So
amazing, unbelievable, fabulous.
Before we go, sorry, can we also have a shout out for Dan Fudge's NSYNC dance that he did on his birthday, which is on our Twitter.
Absolutely
rolling back the years.
We've not got that queued up for tonight.
I know, we should have played that.
About it.
We will.
Well,
Stevie, I believe you had some other business.
I'll go and do that while I find it.
Please. Is mine the last man standing?
It can be. Didn't you also want to mention some Palmer-related stats? The last man standing is way more important. However, we will also allow you a small moment on the floor to wax lyrical about Mr. Liam Palmer, should you need to.
Last man standing. We'll do the last man standing. Many thanks to everybody who's got involved in the last man standing, old players and new. You'll have seen the graphic that we've been sharing on our social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I've mentioned too many, haven't I? Simon already, and X. All the social medias. If you want to get involved, it's £10 a go. And I know that people get involved with these things, and it's just a bit of banter. We've inadvertently set up a nice little WhatsApp community of like-minded people that get involved. And the more people that join and jump on, it makes me absolutely chuckle. I don't drop in as often as I could or should because I'm working midweek normally, so it's just me on the weekend. But between us, myself and Ash primarily, sort of manning the money and making sure people have picked the right teams and what have you. It's a great little sort of community to get involved in. It costs you a tenner, but
it wastes me a tenner.
It wastes Holly a tenner.
I got into 5th. I got us like in the last 5, and then it's never, after that it's just been week 1, week 2 every time.
Yeah. So the deadline is Friday. We're going to start with the FA Cup games on Friday. So if you can get your tenors over, just check out our socials to all of that. I'm going to avoid. Do I want to mention the Liam Palmer at this stage?
You've got 15
Actual
seconds.
Pick on me. Liam Palmer hasn't started a game that we've lost where we've finished a game with 11 players all season. He is the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. a fabulous note to end on, and
Every
unfortunately,
game we've lost.
we have
is
no
one
time
game.
for rebuttals.
One second, Charlie. This
Yeah.
is the thing to finish on.
Some say he's still there now.
That has probably just done us for copyright infringement. But I
Yeah,
think it was worth
that
it.
is this whole episode now. Well, thank
Happy
you so
birthday,
much,
Daniel.
everyone. Happy birthday, Daniel. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us this evening. It's been lovely to dissect these two games with you. Please do go and drop us a like, drop us a follow, and all the social. I'm pointing down here because I assume that they might be down there, but I'm also just like, they're not. They are now. Oh, as if by magic. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much to Holly, Ash, and Stevie for joining me. And yeah, we'll see you
Well
next
done,
week.
Holly.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis,
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
bringing you banter,
Yeah.
bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week, 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.